All right, welcome everyone to another edition of Webinar Wednesday. It really is great to be with everyone here today, and we have an awesome crowd of attendees. Really glad you guys could take the time to join us today. We have a lot of great updates to share with you, a really good tip of the week, and we should have enough time to take some questions as well. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. I am Jason there on the left, and we're lucky to be joined by David Rockland, the digital strategist here at Brilliant Directories. Dave, thanks for taking the time to join us today.
Yeah, glad to be back once again. I know everybody's kind of trying to figure out how to fill their time, but we've got a really great presentation coming up with some really great tips that I really think you can take to your own websites and that are very actionable. So looking forward to that.
Likewise, really good tip of the week coming up today. Thanks for putting that one together. I always like to mention, if you're not already part of our Facebook group, please join us there. You can head on over to brilliantdirectories.com/Facebook. I see really constructive and productive discussions and conversations happening in there. Some people asking how-to questions, some people trying to elevate the direction that they're taking their membership community. So if we're in between webinars and something pops in your mind that you want to ask, head on over to brilliantdirectories.com/Facebook, and we can always continue the conversations there. And I see a lot of new names and faces here today, so welcome to all of you. You know, Webinar Wednesday is a great platform to talk about strategies for both learning the software better and then using those features to help grow your online community. You know, it's really easy to launch a website today, but having good practices and good strategies in place to foster and nurture the growth of your member base is really important. So some things we can talk about here, of course, increasing traffic and more awareness for your site and bringing more members and potential members to your site, converting those visitors into members, and actually the tip of the week that David's put together for us is really good and really touches on that topic. And one of my favorites, I think, is the most important, is simple website navigation, clear calls to action so that your visitors know where to go and how to find stuff. Just a side note there, far too often we see sites that are heavily cluttered, and in some cases that works really well, but from what I've seen, for the most part, a simple, clear calls to action are most effective in getting people to take action on your site. So if you have questions on any of these things or anything related to growing your online community, we'll try to get to as many questions as we can today. All right, and before we dive into that tip of the week, you know, thankfully our team here, we're already remote, so everyone is already working from home or a nearby office that they have separately, and we've been able to maintain productivity here at Brilliant Directories, not only from the development side, but also from the support side. We're still handling support tickets as usual. So, you know, rest assured that our team is here for you as normal. With that said, we've had an unbelievable amount of updates that are being pushed during the last 30 days. I'm going to share a couple of the noteworthy ones here today. I actually had to hold back from adding these. If you join us in the webinars every 2 weeks, you know that we have a small handful of updates to share. In this case, it's a large handful. It's a good bundle here. So I'll try to go through these relatively quickly, but I'll try my best to explain them as well. The first one here at the top of the list, I think everyone should add this to their post single sidebar. What it's going to do, we've created a very simple sidebar widget that will show related posts based on the detail page that you're on. And let me show you a simple example here. So here is our demo Bootstrap demo site, and I've placed this widget in the sidebar here. So what we're seeing is, by default, there are no settings for this widget. We did our best just to make placing this widget on pages work the best in the most scenarios. So what it's going to do, it's going to show up to 5 matching results. So what is it going to match? It's going to first try to match additional posts by the same user for the same post type. For example, if you're looking at an event, it's going to find more events from John Doe, and it's also going to try to match the category for that post type. So let's say it's family events. So it's going to show that. Now, if there's only 2 from John Doe who posted in events for family events. Then it's going to look for other event posts by John Doe. And then after that, it's going to look for just event posts in the same category, not necessarily by the member whose page you're on. And then it's going to look for just the same post, more events, but it doesn't matter what the category is. So it's going to attempt to put 5 posts here in the sidebar. And let me tell you what the name of this widget is. So if we go to the toolbox and we go to Sidebar Manager and you go to Post Single Page, what you can do is search for the word related, and it's this one right here, Bootstrap Theme Display Related Post by Category. And if you want to take a minute, you can go ahead and add that to your sidebar and see if you like it there. All right, the next one is the ability to edit the subscriptions your members already have. So in the Facebook group, we saw a lot of questions. You know, how do I pause my member subscription, or how do I change it? And our answer has always been, you need to stop the subscription and you need to start a brand new one for that member. Well, the good news is we heard you guys, and now there really is a simple way to edit an existing subscription that a single member is on. And the most important thing I think here is you can change the next bill date, so you can kind of push their next bill date further in the future if you're trying to give them some free credits or free time, or you're just doing some kind of a forgiveness. Maybe they've been past due multiple months and you're just trying to start anew with them. So you don't have to do the whole stopping of a subscription and starting it. So let me show you where you can edit that as well. So let's just start in the dashboard. Let's go here to transaction histories. Okay, so here's just a sample site with sample transaction history. So let's look at this member and go to his payment history. There is a subscriptions tab when you're looking at an individual member's, I would call it like the account detail page. And when they have an active subscription, so these are the subscriptions the member's on, it could be one, it could be multiple. What you can do is you can go to the actions drop down here, and there is an option to edit subscription. You'll only see this if it's still an active subscription. So if we click edit subscription, we can do a few things. One, we can change the amount that they're paying. So maybe they were thinking about canceling, and we said we'll give them a small discount. Maybe now they'll pay $7 per month. Or you told them that if they want to upgrade to yearly, you can change the billing cycle as well, and maybe they're going to pay $90 for the year. And what you can do is change the next bill date for the future. So you can tell them, okay, we'll move your next bill date 2 months, so you'll get these next 2 months for free. Your next bill date, whatever, will be June 30th. And then the system will also tell you if the person has, some past due payments. And basically, it's asking if you want to forgive these for the person. So generally, if you're updating someone's subscription, you're talking to them on the phone, you're emailing with them. In most cases, you'll want to forgive them and just say yes, delete the older past due invoices. Or you could keep them active and say no, and the person will have the new subscription edited with the future bill date, and they'll still have their previous invoices. And what's also really nice here is you can leave some internal admin notes for yourself. So maybe you could write the reason why you're modifying the subscription so that you and your staff have kind of like a historical record of what happened in this particular case. So that's available to everyone there. And also what's nice is up here in the top right, you can kind of see a snapshot of what this current subscription is. So in this case, it's $9.99 monthly, and the current next payment date is on 4/22. All right, if you guys have been following the webinars the last few months since the beginning of the year, we're putting more things in place to kind of give you a little bit more control over your landing pages. We've added the hero section and some other things. The tables for your static pages, so you can put text and images side by side. What we've added now is the ability to add call to action buttons on those hero sections. So let me kind of show you what I'm referring to there. So you can create a landing page. You can have a hero section with a title, additional text. Now, without any coding, you can actually set a call to action button here. And let me show you exactly where you can do that. So let's go to Edit Web Pages, and we'll just choose one page here. And actually, this section has grown quite a bit. The hero section settings, we're actually going to move this later in the future to be one of the more main tabs here, so it's kind of easier to see all the options available. But if you scroll down, so of course you can enable it or disable the hero section. You can have the image, but over here, the CTA link URL, link text, you can choose the button color. They'll correspond to the 6 color settings that you have for buttons in your design settings. And then you can choose the button size, normal, large, or extra large. So it's really easy to add a call to action button here now on your static web pages. Also, if you've converted a member search results page into its own static page, of course you can have a hero section for that. And you can also have a call to action link on those pages as well. So static pages, member search results pages that you've converted to static pages. And actually, something that's coming soon, and I'll show you, it's down here, turn your post category pages into their own static pages and have a hero section for them as well. So if you wanted to, for example, your events, your family events category, you can have, it's coming soon, the ability to create its own hero section title, add custom content, and of course, it'll have the ability to have its own call to action link as well. All right, moving on. This one is huge, this next one, the ability to identify members by the forms they have submitted or not submitted on your site. This is actually phase 2 now of a larger project. Phase 1 was just saving behind the scenes in the database which members are submitting which forms on your site. Let me show you what this has the ability to do for you. So if you go to your search members page, you're going to have 2 new search fields here, and we just released this. I think we're going to make some updates to this to make it even more functional. But these fields here, forms submitted and forms not submitted. So what's really cool here is you can search for forms. Maybe it's their listing additional details form. Maybe it's the create a coupon post form. You can check which members have submitted certain forms, or you can search for which members have not submitted certain forms, and then you can conduct a search. So if you want to find all the members, for example, who have not yet published a blog article, for example, or a member article on your site. So we can come and you can search for, I think it's called feature or a job listing, let's say, featured jobs. So this is the name of the form. So I can then search for all the members who have not posted a job listing. And in this case, here are all the members. Now what's really cool is when you have the export members add-on, you can then export this list. You can then email them. Maybe you want to start a specific campaign based on members who have done certain actions on your site with regards to forms. But now you have the ability to basically know what kind of activity members have done on your site or lack of activity based on the forms they've submitted on through your site. So this should give you a lot more control to segment and find members who have or have not performed certain actions. The phase 3 of this is going to actually be when you do a search with any of this criteria. What we want to do is create a bulk action so that you can actually save that list as a smart list in your database here, and then use that smart list when you're sending newsletters here in the email section. So come to your search members page, do a filter for a certain group of members, turn them into a smart list, and then when you're sending your newsletters, being able to select which smart list to include or exclude from your newsletter campaigns. So hopefully we'll have that in the next few months, but again, that should give you full control over better segmenting of your members with those smart lists. This add-on, it's also been highly requested, the ability to email payment reminders to your members, as well as auto emails when they are past due and they miss a payment. This add-on is technically available now. However, we're doing an official release, and let me show you the link here. We're doing an official release to make it available really for everyone and the VIP Add-ons Club members May 1st. Right now we're doing some pilot tests with some beta testers. So we have that working right now. And then May 1st, potentially sooner, depending on how the beta tests work, this add-on will be officially released to everyone in the VIP Add-ons Club or anyone who wants this add-on individually. And it really does add a higher level of engagement power between your website's billing and your members. And let me show you some of the settings that are available with this. So when you have this enabled, if you go to your Transactions History tab, you'll see this new button here which says Billing Email Settings. And I kind of covered this in the previous webinar, but just mention it here since we're closer to an official release. So what you can do is you can choose when members get automatically emailed based on certain billing actions. So when a new payment is received, do you want to email the member or not? So that's there. Upcoming payment reminders, you can do that here. And what's really cool about the upcoming is you can choose how many days before you want that email to go out. And then of course there's 3 past due payment reminders. So maybe someone's not getting the message or they don't get the first one. You can actually choose which days to send up to 3 different past due reminder emails, and that should really help shore up some collections that are actually due to your organization by your members. Another nice touch is if you have the downloadable invoices add-on, you can certainly include a copy of that invoice with those auto emails that are going out. And then lastly, you can edit the default templates that we've created for you. Let me just show you one of them. Let's do the past due number 1. So this is kind of the default template for past due renewal notice 1. It would have their name here. We apologize for this inconvenience. So you have access to these email templates. You could use the defaults or you can add your own personal touch to them as you see fit. So I'll keep you guys updated in the Facebook group when it's officially released. We have it in the beta test program right now. It's going really, really well. And actually, one of my favorite things about this that I didn't mention yet is you as the admin of a site can get a daily digest sent to your inbox about how many payments were collected on that day, how many past due people you have on that specific date, and how many upcoming payments you have as well. So as the admin of the site, this add-on is going to give you an amazing daily digest that you can wake up to and actually see the financial activity and health of your site.
That's great, Jason. Brenda's asking how many emails can be sent out by the system each day?
So by obviously sending emails is a limited resource. Your site can send up to 1,500 emails per day by default. That's provided to everyone. If you're starting to surpass that 1,500 emails per day, you can connect your own SendGrid account. You go to sendgrid.com. I think they have plans starting at like $19 a month. With that, you won't have any daily send limits within your Brilliant Directories site, and you'll just pay whatever the SendGrid fees are for sending emails, and they actually have some of the most affordable and nominal rates for sending emails in this format.
Excellent. And then before we move on, we have one more question from a longtime BD user, Ghassan. He said he's had his site for about 4 or 5 years, and he's wondering if all of these updates are automatically installed and if he'll get them applied to his site automatically.
Okay, that's a really good question. So actually about 4 or 5 years ago, there was a big switch from what we call classic Brilliant Directories to Bootstrap Brilliant Directories. I think only about 2% of our users are still on classic versions of Brilliant Directories, and it's mainly because they did high-level customizations and they don't want to migrate, because you do need to migrate some of your code to Bootstrap. But if he's already on Bootstrap, the best thing to do is just come on over to your dashboard area and click on the Check for Updates button. And really, this isn't going to make any front-end changes to your site. What it's actually going to do is add tables and columns into your MySQL database, your local database, that will unlock a lot of the functionality for the new settings that are available. So when in doubt, check for updates. You can click that button as many times as you like. Nothing bad is going to come from that. And if you ever have doubts, Hassan, you can email the support team if something should be there but it's not there on your site, and they can help you navigate finding that setting for you on your specific site.
Excellent. And then lastly, before we move on, Matt Brooks is joining us. He's watching in, and he just wanted to mention really quick that even if you don't have the new billing email reminders add-on once it's released, we do still have the option to manually send out those reminder emails to individual members.
That's a great point. So for all those email templates that I just showed you, for those 5 or 6 different email actions, the add-on is to automatically send those emails to members. However, everyone has access to those email templates, and what's more is when you're in the transaction history tab, based on the tab you're in, for example, payment received, upcoming payment, past due, you actually, under the actions for that individual invoice for that member, there is a send email notification option here. So without the add-on, you still have the ability to send one-off emails to members. And probably if you're a smaller organization, you don't really have high levels of finance activity, that should be enough for you, is to do this. Maybe you just have a couple people who are past due every week. It's certainly manageable. But once you surpass having dozens of people that need these emails sent to them, that's a good option to opt for the billing reminder emails. All right. And lastly here, let me see if Ryan's on this call with us, because he was specifically asking about this from the Facebook group. Yep, Ryan's here. Ryan, you were asking, we did have new toolbar options in the text editor in the admin area, and we were just waiting to get those moved to the front end of the site. So when you're creating blog posts, you can have things like tables and the new line height. And what's really important is clear formatting. Let me show you what that can do for you guys. So let me start in the admin area here. So let's just talk about the text editor here for a second. So what we have here, the 3 things that are newly added is the clear formatting. So we've gotten a lot of tickets. People are copying and pasting, their articles that they're writing in Microsoft Word, and it's just copying a bunch of extra formatting from Microsoft Word into the editor, and it's impossible to get rid of unless you go into the code view and you do all this funky stuff. So what you can do is, and let's just kind of play with this here. So, let's say you copy and paste from somewhere. You can just highlight all your text, and then you'll see this icon here. It says clear formatting. What that's going to do is basically reset all the text back to plain text. So it's really helpful. Everyone should know about this setting. And we're back to normal here. And then from here, you can start fresh and really adding the intentional styling that you want for the different text elements. We covered tables in the previous webinar, but this has been, we've gotten great reviews about this so far, being able to add tables onto your pages. And with the tables, you can line up text, you can line up images, you can move the column widths to be larger or greater than one another, so there's a lot of good control here. But we had only added these in the admin area so we can get some feedback and make sure everything is working properly. Good news, everything is working properly. So moving on, now on the front end of your sites, when you're logged in as, for example, the blog contributor, if you go to the text editors here, you now also have these options. Over here we can see the clear formatting. So if you're writing your articles, in a Google Doc or Microsoft Word and you need to just reset the formatting, you can certainly use this. And then what's really helpful here is now you have the option for tables as well. So when you're writing your blog post, maybe you want to do comparison charts, things like that, you can easily create these tables and rows and columns, just add a bit more rich content to your article post. So you have that here now. All right, and I know I'm covering a lot of stuff, just trying to go fast because of time here, but some things that are coming soon that I'm really excited to show you guys. Small things, but really high value. First one, the ability to add a color overlay for your hero images. And we're going to start this one just on the home page image, and then later we'll move it to the static web pages and the pages for search results and things like that. Let me show you what a color overlay is. So, we get a lot of questions about what's the perfect image to use on the home page, and we have best practices like don't use images that have a lot of white blank space on them, or don't use images that the text is built into the images because it'll never render correctly on different screen sizes. But another thing that's important is the contrast of the title text on the background that it's sitting on. So here's an example. We have white font, and this image here, it's basically very light background. So in most cases, it's kind of hard to read that text. So what you can do now, or it's coming soon actually, in your homepage layout search settings, you're going to have what's called an overlay color. So I'll just set this to black, and then you could choose the visibility, like how strong that overlay is going to be on top of the image. I'll just set it to 6 and save the changes. And we'll refresh. So now we can see it's kind of like added a shadow on top of the background image, which creates a much better contrast for the text that it's sitting on. So you might use black, you might use whatever complementing colors you need to that create that good contrast between the background image and the text that it's sitting on top of. But if you're having readability issues because of that color contrast issue, this overlay is definitely going to solve that for you. And we are creating more options for global options for the streaming widgets that display on your home page. So if you're streaming your events or coupons or articles or top level categories, the global options have been limited up to now. You could just choose the background color and the font color for the post title. Let me show you some new settings that will be released soon. So you'll still have the streaming widget background color and the font color for it here. The View All button that shows in the top right of the streaming widgets, you'll be able to choose which button color based on your design settings you'd like those to be, or you can choose to hide that View All button altogether. You can choose not to display it. Also, global settings for the streaming widgets, you can choose the aspect ratio. 16:9 is a rectangle, that's the default, or you can toggle it and switch it to 1:1, which would be a square shape for your streaming widget. So again, just depending on your design and how many you have in a row, you can choose the ones that you like best. And then lastly, you can choose if the image, the post image, is going to cover the entire area from corner to corner, or if the images are kind of like an odd size, maybe they're tall and skinny, or short rectangles. You can definitely choose fit within space, so it won't show the image corner to corner. It'll just contain it within the allotted space for that specific element. So it'll be nice when these are available. We can play around with it and see how you guys work with that. I think the square is going to be the biggest thing here. It's going to be really cool to see square shapes rather than rectangles, again, depending on your preference for your site. Okay, this one is also really nice, displaying the profile photo on mobile. So let me show you what that is. We're all familiar with the desktop view. And if we look here, we can see it says, welcome. Well, this is not John Smith, but we can see here that there's a tiny profile photo here. Up until now, when you went into mobile view, there was an icon available next to the My Account, just like the menu. The icon is a text label. So what the update is going to do is if the member does have a profile photo uploaded, instead of the icon, it will show the profile photo just to personalize it a bit more, so this person really knows to click here for their account information while they're browsing on mobile. If they happen to not have a profile photo uploaded, this will just stay as an icon as it currently is. So this will just be a nice update for your members, and it should provide a better mobile experience for them as well. All right, the next one here we did cover ability to turn your post category pages into their own custom static pages where you can have hero sections and custom content. So maybe you have products and a category is furniture. You can definitely create a beautiful landing page for the category furniture for the post type products. Okay, this one is actually, it's also been mentioned in the Facebook group a couple times. When you're writing a review for a member, it does ask you to enter a name and an email address. The update is going to be if you happen to be logged into the site already, it's not going to require you to enter an email and a name. It already knows what your email is and what your name is because it knows that you're a logged-in user. So again, that should just create a more streamlined experience for logged-in members when they're writing reviews for other members on your site. So lots of updates there. I know I just mentioned a mouthful. Thanks for hanging in there with us, guys, during these. And today's tip of the week, David spent a good amount of time putting this together, and I think it really covers something important and a really good way to engage people who are kind of on the fence of your service or product or your membership program. So today we're going to talk about the 4 best practices for offering free membership trials to prospective members and users. So Dave, tell us a little bit about why you thought this was important for today and some of the amazing things you discovered, because I know this one is chock full of some good stats for us as well.
Yeah, it's always fun and interesting looking at numbers. So we made sure to include some pretty interesting statistics in this presentation, which we'll get into in a little bit. I think at a surface level, most of us understand why providing a free trial could be useful. You know, when we have the opportunity as consumers to test out a product before committing to buy it, it eases a lot of our nerves. But that's kind of looking at it at a surface level. So hopefully with this presentation, we'll be able to dive in a little bit and you can understand exactly why offering a free trial could be beneficial for your membership site and how you can actually get the most out of it, because anybody can offer a free trial, but if you're not pushing people towards it or optimizing certain things on your site or in your marketing, then the efforts being put into the free trial could be going to waste. So hopefully with this presentation, you'll be able to get some good actionable ideas to implement into your website, into your marketing, into your customer support. And so first of all, let's go over again why offering a free trial is beneficial. Again, at the surface level, we understand as consumers it's good to test out a product before having to actually purchase it. It eases our nerves a little bit, but it also shows the consumer that the organization offering the free trial can be trusted. It gives the consumer a chance to really kind of kick the tires a little bit before committing to the purchase. And it also lets the user or the customer compare your service against others. So if you're pretty confident in your service, or if you have a lot of competitors in your industry or your field, then providing a free trial might be beneficial because it allows consumers who may initially have wanted to go with one of your competitors to at least test out your product or service, see exactly what it is you're offering, and if it offers anything different or better that they're looking for compared to some of your competitors. Another really beneficial aspect of offering free trials is that you do get more people using your website, and so that provides an opportunity for you to collect more feedback from users. This feedback could be related to your marketing or your communication on your website. Maybe they're not exactly sure what it is you offer or what the benefits are to purchasing a membership, so that could give you a better idea of how to better communicate your offerings. They could also be wanting more features, or maybe you have features included that a lot of people may not find beneficial, so you may want to scale those back a little bit. There's a lot of ways to collect really useful feedback from even more users if you're allowing more people to use your service for free, at least initially with the trial. It also gives you the opportunity to offer incentives right after people begin their free trials. So if you're not offering a free trial and people come to your website and they only have the opportunity to purchase a membership or not use your site at all, not become a member, then you kind of lose out on a lot of opportunity to market some promotional offers to them to make it more worth their while to commit to a purchase. So, you know, when somebody signs up for a free trial, they get limited access to your website for a certain period of time for free, but during that time, you have a better ability to send promotional offers to them and try to convert them into a paying customer.
Just wanted to mention one thing about the chance to offer incentives on your point number 4 here, David. Barbara from Shark Tank, one of the sharks on the TV show Shark Tank, she said once when she was coming up in real estate in New York, she was relentless. She knew that when she had someone that was a real prospect, that she would talk to them as much as possible. She said, if they're not talking to me and I'm not the one giving them the advice, they're talking to my competitor. So when you say chance to offer incentives here, it's actually a chance not only to offer incentives, but to continue the conversation and dialogue and engagement with someone who's on the fence. So you can influence them more the more you have their ear, or through emails or through the messaging on your site. So really the chance to offer more incentives is also the chance to direct and influence their decision making as well, because now you have their attention for that much longer. So just wanted to mention that.
That's a really great point. That actually ties directly into point number 3, which we'll get into later in this presentation, but that's a really good thing to mention up front. And then lastly, free trials, they have been proven almost regardless of industry to increase your conversion rates. So yeah, this presentation, it does tie in with the free trial period add-on. Basically, the way that add-on works, it allows you to set a number of days that certain membership plans can have a free trial available to them. So it's done on a per membership level basis. You just type in the number of free days that you want to provide members with. And currently, the way the add-on works is it does require users to put in their credit card up front, even though they won't initially be charged. But this way, you'll have their credit card info on file. And so if they don't cancel their account prior to the free trial expiring, their credit card will automatically be billed for the membership plan that they're registered into. We do have a update planned in the future, which would give you the option to collect the credit card on the initial sign up or not collect it. There's benefits and cons to both options, which we'll also get into in this presentation, but I just wanted to mention that up front, so keep that in the back of your mind. So best practice number 1, create a sense of urgency. So when somebody signs up for a free trial, it automatically puts a time frame on that user's decision-making process. They know, okay, I have this amount of time before, in the current scenario, before my credit card is billed. So let's test out this website, let's see what it has to offer, and let me make my decision quickly. So it creates a very important sense of urgency. Now, as for the average trial period length, as I mentioned, with the add-on, you do have the ability to choose how many days to provide members for free. So the average trial period, and this is across all software as a service providers, membership websites being one of them, the average trial period is between 14 and 29 days. The optimal length, again, across all SaaS platforms, is typically 14 days. Now, this can vary depending on what features you have to offer, what industry you're targeting, but optimal length typically tends to be about 2 weeks. And going into some statistics here, 89% of SaaS companies, again, software as a service, membership sites being one, 89% of them see a 50% conversion rate within 30 days of users beginning a trial. That's a huge conversion rate. So it kind of hammers home the point that we all kind of know initially, in that free trials give us an ability to test out a product before actually needing to commit a financial payment for it. The next statistic, 67% of those 89% software as a service companies saw those conversions within the first 14 days. So this gets into that optimal length of about 14 days. The majority tend to see a conversion rate within those first 14 days. Going a little bit further, determining how long of a trial to offer. You don't want to offer too long of a trial because then people might end up forgetting about it. And if you provide too long of a period, that also reduces that sense of urgency. So it's kind of a bit of a balance that you want to have. And there's a couple ways that you can determine how long of a trial to offer. So you need to look at your target demographic, your target industry, what service you're providing alongside your memberships, and ask yourself, how long does it typically take for a member to achieve a result or get a quick win on your website? So whether that's receiving a lead or seeing their business profile live on your website, whatever a little goal may be for them, how long would that typically take them? How long would it take them to fill out and complete their profile? How many features do you have available to them? Is there a lot of things for them to explore on your site, or is it pretty standard and pretty well confined? And then also, what's the length of your membership? Are you charging people monthly or are you charging them annually? If you're charging them monthly, then you might want to provide them with a 7-day or a 14-day free trial, whereas if you're charging them annually, maybe you want to provide them with a 30-day free trial. So there's a few different factors to consider. It can vary, but going back to the optimal length, typically if you're unsure, you might just want to start at 14 days. That seems to strike a pretty good balance.
Those are some really good points, and I really like your point about giving them small wins so they feel like they're accomplishing something on the platform, or they're actually getting something back, reciprocated back to them. And then also, in addition to that, is how can you make your product or service more of a sticky service, or like a high switching cost? Get them to add all their images or get them to complete their profile. If you can find ways to make them not want to leave or not abandon the work they've done during their free trial, that's going to help assist with converting a larger majority of those free trial users into paid members, because just emotionally they feel connected to what they've done on your site, and it's going to be harder for them to want to leave. So find ways to make your product sticky and create that emotional connection so they don't want to abandon what they've created once the trial comes to an end.
Precisely, and this is just a simple graph showing the average conversion rate depending on the length of free trial. So you can see, again, 14 days right in the middle. It seems to be kind of the sweet spot. So now the idea of whether to capture a credit card upon the beginning of a trial or not require a credit card. As I mentioned, by default currently, as of April 8th, 2020, the add-on does require members or potential members to input their credit card information when they're signing up for a free trial. In the future, we'll release an update where you can choose whether or not to require a credit card. As I mentioned, there's benefits and downsides to both. So this is another kind of option that you'll need to weigh depending on the market that you're targeting. But to kind of compare and contrast the two, when you do require a credit card, so when somebody's signing up for a trial and before they even start their trial, you require a credit card, doesn't mean that they're going to be charged right away. It just means that you have it on file. That type of free trial converts typically little more than 0.5% of website visitors into paying customers. So when a website visitor comes to your website and you do require a credit card when they're beginning their trial, typically about 0.5% of them will go through their trial and then become a paying customer. Whereas if you don't require a credit card, that conversion rate about doubles, goes up to about 1.2%. As for converting visitors into just trial users, so this isn't considering whether or not they become customers, but just whether or not they become trial users, when you do require a credit card, typically have about a 2% conversion rate, whereas without a credit card, that conversion rate goes up by a multiple of 5. You typically see a conversion rate of about 10% of website visitors converting to trial users when you don't require a credit card. And that makes sense. As consumers, we probably would be more likely to sign up for a free trial if we didn't need to initially apply our credit card number, whereas we might be a little bit more hesitant if we did need to provide the credit card up front. However, with that being said, requiring a credit card up front you'll typically see about a 50% conversion rate from a trial user to a paying customer. And that, again, it makes sense. People who are willing to put in their credit card information when they're starting a trial, they probably already have a pretty good idea of what your website offers, what they're going to get out of it, and they're probably already mostly convinced. They just need that final push to get them across the finish line. Whereas if you don't require a credit card, that conversion rate drops substantially down to about 15% of trial users converting into a paying customer. So that's another thing to consider. And going along with that statistic, requiring a credit card up front, it puts less strain on you to provide customer service to these trial users, because you do have a slightly lower conversion rate of website visitors to trial users when you do require a credit card. So you're going to have slightly less trial users, which would reduce the strain on you to provide customer service to those people, because you have less users that you're servicing, compared to whereas if you don't require a credit card, you're going to have more people signing up, which means you probably are going to be providing a little bit more customer service to them. So that's another pretty important aspect to consider. How much time available do you have? Is it just you managing the entire community? Do you have employees or partners helping you out with that? That can be an important aspect to consider, figuring out how much time you have available to dedicate to customer support and customer service overall. And the final thing to consider, probably not as important as time management, but it does also play into time management, is when you require that credit card up front, that credit card's already on file. So when that free trial expires, their credit card will automatically be billed. There's no need for you to follow up with them to get that credit card number and then to close the sale. Because their credit card's already on file, it's all done automatically. Whereas if they don't have a credit card on file as a trial user, you then have to either send out more email reminders to them, or maybe follow up with them personally over the phone, asking them for a credit card number so that they can upgrade to a full-fledged member. So some important aspects to consider, again, benefits and downsides with both aspects. And this is probably going to be more of a personal decision rather than kind of a hard and true kind of one way or the other. And best practice number 3, this goes into what Jason was saying previously at the start of this presentation about kind of offering the absolute best customer service you possibly can, showing them that you're better than your competitors and staying top of mind, is to onboard your trial users as if they're already paying customers. You want to be able to provide the best customer support you can to all of your users, including the users who are on free trials. Now, the free trial users, they may become paying customers and they may not, but if you're providing them with the best possible support you can, you're increasing the likelihood that they will become paying customers. We've got another statistic here. 86% of buyers are willing to pay more for an excellent customer experience. I think most of us would probably agree with that number just from a personal standpoint. If we have two companies that we're choosing between, and one of them has phenomenal through the roof customer service like we've never seen before, and another one is just kind of standard or substandard, I think we'd all be willing to pay a little bit extra for that increased customer service. It also gives us a better feeling and trust towards that company that provides better customer service. So some other things that you can do to help with this onboarding process to keep these free trial users engaged and to keep your website top of mind is to send them a getting started checklist email. So by default, there's a lot of default email templates that are sent out to members with the Brilliant Directory system. But you can always add additional emails. You can edit the default templates. And a great thing to do is to initially send them a checklist of things to do on your website with their brand new account. So you can, in that checklist, you can include steps to add a profile logo, add their business details to their profile, maybe publish a piece of content. Whatever it is you want them to do on your website, you can include those call to actions in these welcome emails.
Explain to them how they can get closer and to that quick win that you want them to experience or have on your site. And then also include the ways that, again, make their profile or their subscription a little bit more sticky and harder to leave once they've already got the ball rolling with setting up their profile and other settings that are available to them.
Exactly, like that next point, some helpful tips, emails on how these users can get the most out of their membership. You don't want to leave it up to them to kind of figure out what to do next after they create their account, where to go, how to do something. Give them direct steps so that they can get that initial win quickly. And then another thing to keep in mind is you can include promotional offers in your welcome emails. You don't want to bombard them with promotional offers, but having promotional offers in your welcome emails can lift revenue by about 30% on average in the software as a service industry.
Everyone likes a good deal, even if it's a discount on your first month or your first cycle of payments as well, just enough to help people get over that hump.
Exactly, yeah. And going back to call to actions, you want to include these calls to actions. They can be anything. It could be to follow your website on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. It could be to get them to publish their first piece of content to complete their profile. Whatever it is you want them to do, include those CTAs in your welcome emails. And another great tip, try not to post just general content, either on your site or in your emails to your members. Try to customize them a little bit. Customize those default email templates. Make them better apply to your members and directly address exactly what it is they're looking to get out of your website. The default email templates that the Brilliant Directory system has, that all your websites have, they're great for general purpose, but they're kind of one-size-fits-all emails. So you might want to dive into some of those default email templates and just change some of the verbiage a little bit, make them a little bit more personal and relate better to your members and the target industry. 90% of consumers find custom content useful. I think that's a pretty obvious statistic. We'd rather see content that relates directly to us rather than just kind of being fed just kind of general content.
Dave, I want to touch on something. I saw a couple examples of, on our homepage we put things like, again, like streaming events and coupons and our top level categories, and that stuff is fine. But if you're an organization and it's more like it's a private member organization, it's not really about a searchable business directory. What I've seen a couple sites do is something like this. They'll use their article slider. And this is just an example here, but the articles in here aren't necessarily news articles. They link to articles that explain how the program works, how our membership program works, 10 reasons why you'll love us, is our community a good fit for you? Things that really answer a lot of FAQs or frequently asked questions about someone who's browsing or considering joining the website. So just wanted to help people think a little bit out of the box that, some of the things on your homepage don't necessarily need to be just about content, but about what your membership program and membership community is about and how people can get more information. Then, of course, when you have pages like this, it does increase curiosity. And in these articles that you write about, more about your community, you can have call to action buttons that says, wondering if it's a good fit for you, try a 14-day free trial. So as you're feeding them information about what your mission is, what you stand for, who your community serves, at the end of all those snippets of text, you can have those calls to action that can help elicit getting more people into your top funnel of the free trials that you're offering. So just some things to consider as you want to get people to pages where they can learn about you, not just see what the end user experience is, but what's behind the curtain as well. So just wanted to share that as well.
That's a great example. That goes into building trust between the member or the potential member and the website, and also establishing, I think, even more credibility for your website. We had one last point. Make yourself available. Have a contact page on your site. Include a contact form. This lets users voice their concerns and frustrations rather than posting on message boards, which you have no control over. It lets them ask questions directly to you. You get to receive feedback from people, better understand what they're looking for, maybe what things you could be addressing better. And then also adding a phone number If you're really stretched thin on time, that may be a difficult thing to do, but just having a phone number listed on the site adds a lot of credibility to your organization as a whole. It lets people know that there's real people behind it, managing it, that you're accessible, that it's not just kind of somebody who set up this website hoping to make some residual income on the side and they kind of never deal with it. It adds a lot of trust. So that's a really big tip to consider. And lastly, we've talked about this in plenty of previous webinars, but adding a live chat feature to your website as well. There's a lot of great platforms. You can even do Facebook Messenger chat. There's other independent live chat applications like LiveChat. I think it's livechat.com or livechatinc.com, where you basically just copy and paste the script into your website and it adds the chat feature. You log in and you can live chat with website visitors. That's another great way, and that's another alternative. Maybe if you don't want to provide a phone number, at least you're showing that you're available for direct communication that way. All right. Last best practice, number 4, prioritizing your marketing effort. So we do focus a lot on marketing aspects, marketing tactics in these webinars in the Facebook group, of course. But when you're providing a free trial, you really do want to focus a lot on your marketing efforts for those trials. Another statistic here, we got a lot of stats on this page. Almost 65%, a little bit under 65% of software as a service companies say that marketing is the best way to convert trial users into paying customers, more so than just typical run-of-the-mill sales tactics like trying to call them up on the phone. The biggest thing I think with the marketing aspect is just staying top of mind, and reinforcing whatever points it is you're trying to get across to them, that you can make their life easier or help them achieve whatever goals it is that they're looking for. Marketing is a great way to reinforce all those things and hammer those points home to your free trial users and hopefully push them across that finish line to convert into a paying customer. Another great tip to aid in that is to add testimonials to your website, to your emails, social media, really anywhere you can add testimonials. You should. Testimonials have almost a 90% effectiveness rating when it comes to marketing efforts for software as a service companies. I know we're saying software as a service companies a lot. Many of you may not think of what you're doing as software as a service. It's really kind of just an umbrella term for a company that provides an online service. Your membership directory is obviously an online service, so just kind of think of it that way. But testimonials are a phenomenal marketing tool. You can sprinkle them all across your website. On your homepage, you can add a couple. On your About Us page, on your contact page, every once in a while, you can throw out a testimonial that you've received on your Facebook page or Instagram, maybe like an Instagram story if you have an Instagram account for your website. And the final thing is, and we've mentioned this so many times in previous webinars, content really is king when it comes to marketing, and video is increasingly becoming the most important type of content. I know video can be kind of intimidating to get into. You don't really need anything complicated to start. You could either do a screen share, you could record a video on your smartphone. I think almost all of us have smartphones now with great cameras. You can record simple videos on your phone. You can even edit videos on your phones now. So I really highly recommend trying at least to get into producing even just simple videos. They're more engaging than sharing articles or images. Of course, you should do all of that as well. But 78% of people now watch videos online weekly. About 55% of people watch videos online every single day. They're much more engaging. They're easier to consume. You can listen to a video. If you're driving, you may not need to watch it, but you can listen to it. If you're cooking, you can have the video on in the background. It's just a much more digestible form of content rather than only producing articles. So you can make your own simple videos. And another great tip is to incorporate into your video content is to throw those customer testimonials in there, the member testimonials. If you know for a fact you have this one member is just ecstatic about your website and everything it is that you're doing, you can ask them for a video testimonial. You can provide them with maybe like a big discount on their membership, or give them a little bit of an incentive to record themselves talking about your company. It can be 15 seconds, it could be a minute, but a video testimonial really goes a long way, and it goes a lot further than just a normal text testimonial, because this way people can actually see who it is that's giving the testimonial. They can kind of put a face and an identity to the words that they're saying. So that's a really good tip there. So that's all the slides that we have for this presentation. I did also want to mention, because I know this whole presentation is focused around the free trial period add-on. If you don't have the add-on, you can still take almost all of these tips to your website anyway and your marketing efforts. A great workaround would be to provide a free membership level with limited functionality. Now, of course, you don't have that kind of time frame that you would have with a free trial period, but you can still provide a free membership level with limited functionality. That way you at least get people in the door. They get an idea of kind of how the accounts works, what they would be able to do if they unlocked more of those premium features if they were to upgrade, and you capture their contact information and all that stuff. So if you go about it that way without having the add-on, you can still take a lot of these tips and apply them to a free membership level as well.
That's awesome, David. These are some stats I wasn't aware of. It's really good that you put this together. It puts things in perspective on where we should prioritize our time and energy. And in this graph here, it says just under 65% should be around marketing. When you're doing marketing, and I think what David was mentioning is you're creating that brand awareness, and you're creating that sense that your organization is the authority in the industry or in the niche that you're trying to service. So with those marketing efforts, we always go to websites and we're like, wow, these guys have been around forever. Look at how many blog articles they have, and they have this and that. What they're doing is they're flexing their marketing muscles, and they're showing you that they are the industry leaders. Now, a lot of us have limited resources, so we're not going to create hundreds and hundreds of blog articles and videos and things like that. So what we need to do is find out what lead magnets, and they're called lead magnets, what things will have the highest value. What's the minimal amount of content we can create that will have the highest emotional impact on somebody's perception of your organization. So that's where creating like ebooks, like with guides and 10 tips for this and that, and creating these ebooks that provide really good pieces and nuggets of information that people in your industry really want. You just need a handful of those and some good landing pages, and that should be enough to build a marketing campaign around those lead magnets. So you use your time wisely, you're using your resources wisely. You don't need hundreds of blog articles. Maybe you just need 5 or 10 or just under a dozen, whatever it is. But then those are working for you behind the scenes to build that brand awareness and credibility and authority within your industry. So you can work smarter, not harder, when it comes to content, and let the content do the work for you. You just need to be ready with your free trials or your free membership sign-up option, or if you're not offering anything for free, just the ability for them to submit an application form that they're interested in joining your organization, so you can capture that information from the potential member or subscriber of your service. So David, great presentation. Thank you for putting this together. I'm sure some people have questions about the free trials, but what we'll do right now is we'll pass it over to you guys. You can use the raise your hand feature if you want to ask a question about free trials or about your site. We'll see if we can get to a couple questions and help you guys out.
And one last tip I do want to mention when it comes to, as you touched on, kind of balancing your time. If maybe you're a one-man team or you don't have a lot of experience in content creation, you can make up for that by really exceeding expectations in other areas like customer service, for example. So it's kind of a balancing act. Some things you may do better than others, but find your weaknesses and try to counterbalance those.
That's a great point. Yeah, play to your strengths and counterbalance your weaknesses. All right, Allison has her hand up. Let me unmute you here, Allison. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good, good. How'd you like the presentation so far today?
It was pretty good.
Okay, great, great. And what's your question for us?
So if you're starting out to build the site and you haven't put your users on and you haven't put your members on, and I'm all about offering the free trial, but you know, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? So we've got to be able to offer the free trial and also be able to deliver on what we're offering to deliver.
Perfect.
But we need those members on so that we can also get the users on, and we need those users so we can get our members on.
Perfect. So this is the number one question that we hear, so I'll try to simplify it for you. Essentially, what you're building is a marketplace, similar to Uber for car rides. There's no point in having a bunch of drivers in a city or riders in a city if there's no drivers to meet that demand. So when it comes to an online marketplace and when you're just starting out, the best practice is actually you can choose either side of the marketplace, but choose one side of the marketplace and create a lead magnet to start gathering those subscribers. You know, create basically a secondary magnet that gets you their email address, gets you their name, gets them to set up a basic profile, and you're going to give them something. You have to figure out what that is. It's going to be an ebook, it's going to be access to a webinar, it's going to be something of value, and you're going to start building that half of your marketplace. Once you feel like you have, you know, a good number of people there, it could be 20, it could be 200. It really depends on what market you're going after. When you feel you have you know, a good amount of people there, then the real plan that you have for your project, you can then go to the second half of the marketplace and say, hey, connect with, you know, this side of our marketplace. We now have these people in our marketplace. So you need to do something to get the first part of your marketplace going. So when we started Brilliant Directories, you know, more than 10 years ago, our first directory was a directory of interior designers. And we were going to connect them with leads of people who needed to work with interior designers. But pre-launch, before we launched, we just had a landing page, and it said, a new website to promote your interior design services is coming soon. We have early bird, free, whatever. You know, fill out this form to let us know you're interested. We didn't have an ebook or anything, and we went into LinkedIn groups, and we started, you know, sharing that, and we got, you know, hundreds of designers, you know, to fill out that form on a landing page. And once the site was ready, because we didn't even have the platform at that point, we were still building it. But once it was ready, we then emailed all those people saying, hey, come back to the site and create your profile. And then once they had their profiles there now, we started doing Google ads. At that time, it was just, that was our strategy, to get consumers to come to the site, and we would sell the leads from the consumers to the designers. And it was really, it worked out really well, but we had to get those designers registered first. Now, we could have done it the other way. We could have went after the people who needed designers, you know, homeowners and things like that, and said, you know, if you want design tips, you know, fill out this form and we'll get them to you. And we could have gone that route as well. And then we would just flip it, and we'd go after the designers and say, look, we got all these consumers that are hungry to get connected with designers. So really just focus on one aspect of your marketplace first. And then alternatively, what you could do, and we do recommend this quite often, is go ahead and add your first 100 members into the site first, but do it manually, or, you know, import them, but make sure the profiles are really well decorated, and then email them and tell them that you found them noteworthy professionals in the industry and you've added them to your exclusive list on the website, and just give it to them for free, because they're basically helping you populate your site to begin with. So just manually add beautiful images, make it really high quality. Now you got 100 profiles in there, and then you can go after the second half of your marketplace. And then another strategy, one more thing, and this is a really common pitfall, is when people are setting up their directory sites, especially for searching for, you know, local businesses, whether it's all businesses or a specific industry, they add too many member categories. So everything that you unlock on your site, whether it's adding more categories or also offering classifieds, coupons, events, and all the other stuff you can list, everything you add, makes more work for you starting out. So that means that you're going to have to work extra hard to fill those sections of your site. So try to cut back as much as you can, edit it out, start smaller, and just make a quality site first with less. And then as you grow, you can unlock more post types and you can add more categories later, because then you can use your energy more efficiently in filling those limited categories with members rather than trying to fill hundreds of categories with members.
And so you think that it kind of plays the same way if you're dealing in B2B? And it's not really, I'm not marketing to consumers, it's business to business. So do you think there's any difference in that?
Consumers always a little bit different, but I think that the points still apply. You know, you don't want to create a bunch of empty sections on your site. So even if it's B2B, just limit the number of categories. I don't know what the focus of your site is, but just know that the smaller you make your site to start, the better your energy will go towards filling those and really making those good resources rather than being sparse and just being kind of thin.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll take your advice. I'll take the classifieds off because we had added some custom features. That'll probably be more important than that.
Yeah. So like if you're doing like a searchable business directory plus like you're going to have events and articles and all that stuff, I would just pick 1 or 2 maximum additional types of content people can search for, because again, you're just going to be creating more work for yourself in the beginning stages. So just some food for thought there.
And more simple for the member signing up so they're not overwhelmed with all the different options.
Exactly. And what's really cool about Brilliant Directories is they don't know you're using Brilliant Directories. 6 months from now, you can say, hey, we just released classifieds, and they think you just, thanks to, and all you did was click a button. So you can make it into a big newsletter release as you unlock the features that are built into your Brilliant Directories site. Yeah,
Gotcha.
That's really the best way to go.
Okay, good points. All right, thanks.
Thanks, Allison. All right, good common question there. All right, Brenda. See, Brenda's got her hand up. How you doing, Brenda?
It looks like Brenda sent in a question in the chat. She's asking about website backups. She just wants to make sure that that we have backups available for all Brilliant Directories websites.
Absolutely, that's a really great question. So just by default, we do for every BD website, we do have a 1-day backup. So everyone has a backup from the last 24 hours. Always from the previous day. If you have the 14-day website backups add-on, obviously saving backups are resource intensive. So when you have that add-on, we have 14 consecutive days of backups of your site. So if maybe you didn't pay attention to your site for a couple days, something went awry or incorrect, we'll have 14 individual days. And in some cases, we can just pick and choose specific things that you'd like to back up. Maybe you just want to back up your blog articles or a restoration of your member reviews or something. So that's an option. And then lastly, everyone also does have a 1-month snapshot backup of their site. So if we're towards the end of a month, if you needed a restore from further back and you didn't have the 14-day backups, you'd have a choice of the last 24 hours or the previous month's backup. We're also working on tools that with the 14-day backup add-on, it will put the power in your hands to restore and back up many of the areas of your site on your own without having to email our support team to assist with that. So what we're learning from this process, a lot of people email us from time to time to do backup restores. We're making note of that process our team is doing to do those restore backups of certain elements of the site, and we're going to turn that into kind of like a portal or a module where you can do your own restore backups in the near future. So we're listening to some of the feedback, and hopefully we'll have that later this year as well. All right, Lois, how you doing, Lois?
Hi, it's Louise.
Louise, I apologize, Louise. How are you today?
Oh, that's okay. I'm great. How are you?
Good. Thank you. Where are you calling from?
Calling from Beachford, Ontario.
Okay, great. And what's your question for us today?
On my website, thebookkeepersdirectory.com, on some of the menu items, I was trying to figure out how to have the pull-down menu. Yep. If you go to the home page, the tab that says businesses has a pull-down menu.
Okay.
How do I get that on bookkeepers and courses on that menu bar across the top? that menu there. I'd like it on bookkeepers as well as courses.
The drop-down menu?
Yes.
Oh, great question. It's really, really easy. Do you know what pages you'd like to add under bookkeepers as links?
Not yet, but
I'll tell you what. I'll make it real simple for you here. So if you go to Toolbox and to your menu manager, we're going to edit your main menu here, the first one. So what's really cool is you can see with this little green icon which one of the menus have like a drop down when you're going to hover over it. So what you can do is if you scroll down and click on New Link, and I'm just going to call this New Link 1, and we'll just link this to your home page just temporarily. All you have to do is drag this up, and then you could just nest it underneath here. And then once you have it there, let me just save the changes. Once it's there, it's actually a lot easier once it's there, because you can click on Actions, Clone Menu Item. So it's just going to clone this one here, and just click Yes. And this way, it adds it right there. You don't have to do all that scrolling up and down, so you can just quickly clone it. It's closing these green things, but click this green thing again, and now we have 3 links here without having to do all that scrolling. So the first one that you want under there, you just create New Link, and then of course you can change this to whatever you want, and of course, really important, link it to the correct page that you want to link it to.
Okay.
Okay. So that's all you have to do is just nest them underneath, just drag them. So I'll go ahead and delete. Do you want me to keep these here or delete these?
Sure, you can keep those there.
Okay, I'll just do 1, 2, and 3, and then you could follow the same thing for your courses.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
The Facebook share buttons on the header, how do you move them up there?
That's also a really good question. So this one would be in the design settings, and basically this search module that you have up here, you can choose if you want to have social media links there instead. Where you would do that is under your design settings, under the header design tab or module. Over here where it says show header search, one of them is show social media links instead. So it's going to swap that out, the search module up there with your social media links. Do you want to save that?
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see what that looks like on your site. So that's what it looks like with the buttons here, the social icons.
Okay.
All right. All right. Good questions there from Lois. Definitely active on her site. And let's see if we can take one more question here from our friend Roy. Roy, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you very much, Jason. Yes. I've been trying to get a logo icon to display on my mobile phone in such a way that it mimics, in terms of size and readability, the sort of things that you get from Facebook and WhatsApp and that sort of business. And I've got a symbol, a letter Q, and I put this into the favicon position in the general settings, and it displays on an Android tablet that I've got just exactly as I want it to. But I can't get that to work on an iPhone.
So when you're adding a website to your home screen, whether you're on an iPhone or an Android device, sometimes it may default to the favicon, but both those operating systems prefer to use specified icons specific for that function. So you really don't want to use the favicon, especially because favicons, I think the standard size is only 16 by 16 pixels. So if that's being used for a home screen icon for a website, it's not going to look good. So I'm adding this link to the chat. It's a question that's on Stack Overflow. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see the top answer with a green check mark next to it has 27 upvotes. You'll see some code in there. Some of those lines reference Apple icons, others reference shortcut icons. That should be the code that you want to use. Those shortcut icon lines of code, I think, are what Android uses, whereas Apple uses separate ones. So give that a shot, and I think that might work. Just make sure that you have those icons uploaded to your media manager, and then replace in the links in the sample code with the actual image URLs that you have uploaded for your icons.
You found it right here, David. So thanks for looking into that. But yeah, there's lots of different devices out there, and they all have different requirements. But I think this is a great share here. And of course, if you're looking at this, guys, the href, that's where you would put the link to your image here. All right. So I think that'll wrap it up for us here today. On behalf of myself, David, and the Brilliant Directories family, it's great that you were able to join us today. If we didn't get to your question, please join us in the Facebook group. You can go to brilliantdirectories.com/Facebook, and we can continue the discussions there. So we'll see you guys in 2 weeks for the next webinar, and we'll see you instantly in the Facebook group if you have additional questions. So have a great day, guys, and a brilliant week. Take care.